What is up? Welcome to the bounce off. Hi, V.
Hi P, happy Galentine's Day?
Oh, is that today, the
Yeah,
13th?
like the day before
Oh,
Valentine's Day. Yeah.
let's switch it up.
We can witch it up on a Thursday. Let's do it.
That's true.
I love going out on Thursdays over Fridays anyway, to be
No,
honest.
100. My favorite thing in the world is staying in on a Friday.
Oh, it's like the best. The best. I would much rather go hard on Thursday. 100%.
Yeah, V. We need to talk about the Super Bowl. I know we've been talking about it, and I'm sure everyone has been talking about it by the time they hear this. But I feel like the dynamics of this Super Bowl were like some of the most complex at play.
Listen, y'all, if you're just like, I've already heard the Super Bowl, I know who won, yay, Eagles, blah, blah. I get it, but I think we're gonna dive into the Super Bowl a little bit differently.
Yeah, we're really not going to talk about the game
Yeah,
at
because
all.
it was boring as shit and nobody needs to
Yeah,
talk about the game.
yeah. There was just so much around the Super Bowl that was interesting that I wasn't even really thinking of until I got some distance from it and started seeing like what was being said online and like how the coverage was of things. So, I mean, first of all, the president Trump was there in attendance. So,
He has
he's the
nothing else
first.
to do. Did you know that, P?
I guess he's all chillin', but he's the first sitting president to attend a live Super Bowl in person. There's like all this stuff we've talked about it, right? Like Casey kind of became Trump's team because he said, "Oh, I'm going to root for them." And because we know about Patrick Mahomes' wife and him being in like the sunken place and stuff. The other thing that kind of throws a wrench in that, though, is Taylor Swift's attendance. So Taylor is openly anti Trump, but both of those figures got booed at the Super Bowl, both Trump and Taylor. And when I was thinking about that and reading about it, I think that Eagles fans were booing both.
Okay, wait. Can you stop right there? Because there has been a little bit of controversy. I've heard about this. And I don't know what's true, which is if you watch the Super Bowl footage from like a Fox Sports perspective, when the camera pans to Trump, that there are cheers.
Oh.
You hear cheers in the audio. But then other people offered their, like camera phone footage from the stadium and whatever. And then there were a ton of boos.
Yes,
So now there's like, whoa, did they edit the audio of the
that's crazy.
cheers?
I don't remember hearing booze, but I wasn't super, oh my God. I was telling you about Super Bowl parties where the hosts have all the best intentions but don't really know how to host a Super Bowl party. And like for a big chunk of like the first quarter, there was like music playing over the
Ah,
sound, and we were like, "Hey, could
ah.
we get the sound of the game?" So I didn't hear Trump being booed or cheered for a number of reasons, but I did see reports that he was being booed at the stadium. And yeah, that's kind of crazy though.
We
And
heard
then Taylor,
cheers on our coverage for what it's
and
worth.
you were watching Fox, or
Yes.
was there different Canadian coverage?
That it was not a different Canadian coverage. So
Because
that's why
only
I was
one
like,
network.
because everyone was like, wait, I'm confused. Did Trump get cheers and Taylor got boos? What's
Yeah,
happening?
right.
But then you saw these other camera views and there were boos.
Okay. I did, yeah, the reports I saw from people who were there said that there were boos.
Correct.
Taylor Swift comes on the Jumbotron and she gets booed. Now, is she getting booed because she's anti Trump, or is she getting booed because she's anti Eagles? Because she's there for Travis Kelce. And other reports that I saw said Eagles fans were booing her for that reason.
The stadium seemed very pro Eagles.
Yeah. So then, but were they not pro Trump then?
I don't think they were pro Trump, and I think because Taylor Swift is associated with the Chiefs, they were like ready to boo her too.
It's so like this really, it sort of became like one side and another side, and what does each one represent? But then the waters get muddy when you add Taylor Swift in there, and it just really started to seem like the Super Bowl of allegiances, like
Yes.
that's kind of what this became about, and that is kind of wild. But along those lines, Kendrick.
OP. I will just say I multitasked a shit ton during this game because it was not worth my attention or my time.
hmm
We decided not to go to a party actually because we were like, I don't really care about the game that much.
Yeah, that was another thing I was gonna say is like it sort of seems like everyone who was rooting for the Eagles, unless they were a Philly fan, is rooting against the Chiefs. So
Yes.
it's not really, yeah. So yeah, the stakes are low.
So low. Last year we threw a big one because obviously the Niners were in, blah, blah, blah. But I'm telling you, it reminded me of TGIF on ABC when I was a kid, where the moment you
What?
heard the Family Matters theme song, you like
But
you ran straight to the TV because the episode is on. You got your popcorn, and it was like that when I heard like an Apple Music presents the Super Bowl halftime, and I like dropped my like laundry basket or whatever, and I was like, I'm over here. I gotta run. I gotta go check this out. It was the same vibes. Same
I
vibes.
love. I was on like a group chat with the Super Bowl party invitees, and my cousin who was throwing the party was like, I've been listening to Kendrick to get hyped. And I was like, you know what? Respect. All of these cousins are like solidly Gen X. So I'm like,
Yeah,
good for you.
yeah.
And then there was someone else in the chat that was like, I listened for 20 seconds and then I couldn't do anymore. And I'm like, oh, okay, so there's going to be some of those here too.
Oh, yeah, then this is not for you, is really what
Yeah.
it is. Like the Super Bowl has moved on from Gen Xers and catering to them for halftime shows. Like,
So, okay, so that's a good point. Like, off of what you're saying, this is not for you. The argument I think that mostly white dudes have is that the Super Bowl halftime show should be for everyone. And what does that actually mean? You know, so like these crowd pleasy, pop musicy types of things. But it's kind of weird because like Kendrick had the biggest song of the year. So, like, what's more popular than that right now?
you gotta chase the dollars when it comes to this type of thing. I mean, honestly, I don't think the halftime show should be for everyone.
Yeah, it should be what the artist wants to do.
The football game isn't for everyone. So how
Yeah.
are we going to say these 13 minutes need to be that just feels like a really unrealistic expectation. Maybe the last time it was for everyone was when Michael Jackson crushed it in the 90s with his halftime show.
I mean, I would argue that like all of them have kind of been for everyone. I
But
mean,
like
I feel
Usher
like the
showing off his abs, P, like is that really for everyone? Do we need the shirt coming off? Do we need
yeah.
was it Shakira and Jill? Were they like on poles? Like
Yes.
right? Like is that
Yeah.
everyone? Come on, dude.
That's true, I guess. So who are we talking about then? I mean, who is the Super Bowl halftime show actually supposed to be for? Like, what's the complaint behind the complaint?
You know, okay, so here was the theory. When Rock Nation, Jay-Z got into this partnership with the NFL to start producing their halftime show, the data shows that at that point in the game, people were turning it off or going to another channel.
Wow.
That's really what it was. They had lost so many viewers for the halftime show. And some of that was attributed to generational differences into age. Like, I don't care to see Aerosmith do their halftime show anymore. I don't care to. It was sort of all
Yeah,
of
but they
these.
brought Britney and NSYNC onto that one. Like they were doing weird amalgamations of artists to kind of satisfy the whole audience, but it was like your NFL audience also doesn't care about Britney and NSYNC.
That's exactly it. So the in the attempt to reach everyone, you actually annoyed everyone.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I really think that that's part of it. And then of course, the NFL continues to always receive criticism around their work of anti-racism, equity, justice, that type of thing. So was part of it a little bit of lip service and
hmm
trying to say, hey, look it, but we signed this partnership with Rock Nation, so we can't be. We're great.
Well,
That's
now they're going to receive backlash in the other direction, right?
of course. But and I will say, even in the music world, I think there were a lot of people who weren't quite sure how Kendrick Lamar would do because we've never seen a solo hip hop artist do a halftime show. It's just not usually the vibe you associate with it.
Right.
And obviously there are different takes. P, in a nutshell, like what was your take of that halftime show?
So, okay, my take. And then I'm going to leave you with a question. I loved it, but I am someone who knows that if I want to get the full experience out of something, then I need to do my homework. So I listened to his album, his new one. I listened to his catalog. I looked at lyrics. I listened to his guest spots on SZA's new album. I was just ready for it. There was also a leaked set list that came out. And so I looked at that and I made sure that I knew all of the songs on that. I was like following all these hip hop Instagrammers who
Ah,
talked about him.
get it, P. This is turning me on so much right now. This is the
So,
best.
but like that context was invaluable for making sure that I could catch all of his little digs and Easter eggs and all of the details of his performance. But even if you didn't do all of that, and you didn't know his music, there was a really clear message being sent, particularly given that the president was sitting there watching it. There was a clear kind of conflict being played out around what is America. A lot of people are kind of comparing what he did to what Childish Gambino did with This
Mm-hmm.
is America,
Mm-hmm.
like that kind of message. And like, yeah, the kind of iconography was clear. So it rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. And also there were a lot of people, like I saw this kind of old white lady thread of old white ladies being like, I've been reading up more about this and I really appreciate what he did. Like I've had to educate myself. And I'm like, you know what, old white ladies, get
Okay,
it.
old white lady. Do the homework, girl.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there were a lot of them like chiming into this conversation, and like the older generations are recognizing that they needed help maybe deciphering some of this, and there were some people who sought that help. And then there were a lot of people, all of them that I saw were all white dudes, who said this halftime show was the worst ever and that it was boring. So my question to you, I have two questions. How much credit do you think the NFL can take for this show? And off the back of your answer of that, do you think Jay-Z is going to be allowed to produce anymore?
Woo. Okay. I mean, first of all, they didn't like it because they had to use their fucking brains for it. Okay.
Exactly.
I haven't really been hearing of people giving the NFL credit. What he because this is the tricky part, P. There's always a story behind this, and we don't know.
Hmm.
I don't know what they censored for Kendrick. I don't know what he wanted to do and what he didn't get to do. I don't know. You don't know what the fights have been behind the scenes. I just have to assume that there were fights. I just have to assume
Yeah.
that negotiations were made. And in the end, I think Jay-Z is probably going to get more credit than like the NFL as a large organization.
As he should, because I was seeing people in comments being like, go NFL. And I'm like, I don't know that the NFL was at all responsible. Even if they like greenlit it, I don't know that they had enough. I don't know. Like, I don't know how much they censor things, but clearly shit happens on these stages that they do not censor, as evidenced by your t shirt.
By the way, Super Bowl day is always known as Janet Jackson Appreciation Day, so I'm going to throw that out
Correct.
there.
Yeah.
The other piece is it's hard for me to give the NFL credit on anything that feels like it's a thoughtful analysis of
Correct.
societal injustice in
Yeah,
general
absolutely. Yeah.
or how black men are treated. There's just no way that's going to happen. That being said, I think Jay-Z has continued to bring attention and eyes and engagement to the halftime show, and in the end follow the dollar.
Yeah.
I don't think the NFL will shut that down. Apple Music was the sponsor of
Right.
the halftime show, and they've made so much money off of one
Streams.
song for
Yep.
Kendrick. And
Yep.
I think that they will continue. I mean, the streaming numbers for the songs like jumped whatever, 400 plus percent or something
Yep.
wild. So,
Also, the
yeah,
viewership of this show, it has been the record best so far. It topped Michael Jackson's viewership numbers by 100,000.
which is wild, truly
Wild.
wild.
Because
And I think
literally everyone was watching that one.
everyone, and it was the first big
Yeah.
halftime show that ever been done. part of what I think was really handy with this halftime show was they could dangle this carrot of will he or won't he perform this
Yeah.
song? That it was happening in the pre-game interviews. Even Kendrick was kind of doing it. Obviously, it's a strategy to try to get more viewers, to make it
Did
feel a little bit more controversial.
you have any doubt that he was going to do it?
No, of
Like, of course he's
course
going
not.
to do it.
Of course he's gonna do it. What did I think that he's probably gonna keep out? I actually thought he wouldn't use Drake's name directly, but he did.
And like looked
And
into the camera
looked
while
at
doing it.
with a smile.
Hey, Drake.
So fucking good. Drake,
So
listen,
good.
I'm here for my Canadian artists, but Drake done lost that one a million times over.
This was
Uh,
them dancing on his grave.
Literally Serena crip walking.
Serena crip walking on his grave. She has never looked better, by the way.
Sometimes now being a mom in my 40s, I look to other moms in their 40s to be my hashtag goals. To see her do her thing like that, I was like, this is it. This is what I need to keep me inspired, to keep me going.
Yeah.
And people forget she got in trouble when she did that shit
Yeah.
at the Olympics. It was so
Hmm.
controversial. And
But people don't even understand the origin of it because they associate it with gang symbology and it doesn't even have anything to do with the Crips, but
and they forget that she's
whatever.
from Compton too,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's just
It's
anyway.
all racism. Well, the word we haven't used yet is racism
Right?
around this whole halftime show.
Everything. And I have to say that there is a level of creative artistry to provide an analysis of racism in a halftime show. I can't even imagine the storyboards, the things that have been scrapped. The second I saw Uncle Sam show up, I was like, here we fucking go.
Played
Like,
by Samuel L. Jackson.
played by Samuel Jackson. I was like, he's gonna do it. And then you see Kendrick with the in a divided American flag, and you're like, this feels so obvious to me.
Yeah, totally.
Some of the symbols certainly, some of them maybe not so much. But I hope everyone else is seeing this commentary.
Hmm.
Of course, there are some people who aren't. It's funny that you talk about white dudes because in my text threads that day, post halftime show, a lot of white women in my life were sort of like, I don't know, it's fine, or like, I don't really get it.
I didn't understand the words.
And it's like, here's the deal. If that halftime show was like candy, bubblegum, rainbows, bubbles, I would have been so fucking annoyed.
Yeah.
It would have missed the mark. That's not what we're here for. I don't want to feel like I'm in the circus because the circus has been happening.
Yeah.
Stop distracting me with this. I think it was the perfect person at this time to be offering a show that was both very entertaining as well as thought provoking.
Yeah, it was the Super Bowl halftime show that we need right now because it was energizing in a way that was really meaningful versus just like, I'm gonna hear me roar or whatever, right? Like it was like for a moment, for 13 minutes, it was like, oh, we're not alone. We are kind of in this together.
That's it. That's it. And I want to go back on something I shared in our last episode, which is I was like, I want him to feature a New Orleans artist. I want to have a New Orleans vibe. Now, as I think about it, I saw them open the show with that kind of feel,
Yeah, John
right? Like John
Batiste.
Batiste, Harry Connick Jr. That felt great. Had it also happened at the halftime show, I think I would have been actually a little bit annoyed
Because it's pandery.
because it's pandery
Yeah.
and it's just like not, I don't know, somehow Kendrick and his team like anticipated the need and this is what we needed and it was incredible. It was the best thing about the game, quite
Yeah.
frankly. And it again reminded me about this intersection of music and sports and truly how one can boost the other. The game was fucking terrible. No one is talking about the fucking game.
No, just that it was a beatdown and that the Patrick Mahomes GOAT conversation is effectively over.
Over. And will he smile? Can we get him to smile?
Ever. Yeah.
Which
Or
I
like raise his decibel level
would.
even a little bit.
Could you imagine if we said that about a female athlete? Can we get her to smile?
Yeah.
We'd be so fucking mad. Oh my God. But it just, to me, again, it engaged people into the sport, whether they wanted to or not. And I have to say, I have gone back to watch commentary about this halftime show. I've rewatched the halftime show. I don't do this every single year, but it felt
No.
like, to your credit, Pete, it felt like we had homework to do. It felt
Mm-hmm.
like Kendrick was like, turn the TV off, go study what the fuck just happened in the last 13
Mm-hmm.
minutes. Dan Pete, can I tell you, you know how he did the Sony PlayStation?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The controls.
If you I saw a video. If you follow the pattern of the controllers, like the triangle, circle, whatever, it follows when a player is like fully armored and Garden is like invincible and you can't do anything to them because they're at like full health.
Oh
And I was
shit.
like, even the pattern that he did on the field, yo.
I was wondering about that. I'm glad someone else like figured it out because I couldn't always see it, but you know that everything like that was an intentional decision. Like that's what was so amazing about this halftime show is the detail, the intentionality, the storytelling, the arc of it. It was completely like the most thoughtful one, which yeah, I've watched rewatched this one more than I've rewatched any other one.
So, P, as someone who has said that you haven't really been watching sports recently, was this your like first big foray back into being an engaged sports fan? And where does this take you now?
Well, it was sad because I was coming in wanting to watch the game to see how the game would go. And then like within like the first 10 minutes it was like, "Oh, okay." So, I was like, "You know what? Casey usually comes back in the second half, but not down. They were like down 17 or something at that point."
I think 24
So,
even, yeah.
yeah, oh, yeah. So I gave it a shot. I was excited about the game itself, but yeah, the halftime show got me hyped, and then just engaging with all of these dynamics of this Super Bowl after the fact has been really kind of giving me life. I don't know if there's differing reports on if this guy was a dancer or someone who had snuck onto the field, but there was a Palestinian and a Sudanese flag. Was it Sudan?
Yes.
And that guy was like waving it for a good several seconds before, and then like running around. I was like, where are the cops? Like they're just kind of letting him run around. And then he gets like taken out.
Yes. I'll be honest, I was so shocked that at a game where there is a president that somehow someone is able to break through security measures and get on the field. So that's why I was like, it had to have been a dancer,
Maybe it was one of
right?
the
Like,
dancers. Yeah, but I didn't even see where he came from.
right. And it's not like, when you come out with your other dancers, you can't hide these two huge flags. Like,
No,
someone
it
else
was
is
like
gonna.
in his clothes, maybe.
I
Yeah, I
it
don't.
seemed a little bizarre. Like, even as a dancer, you can't just sneak those. They were big flags.
Yeah, they were big enough to be seen. Yeah.
Yes. But back to your point of there were a lot of statements to be made, and the Super Bowl is on the world stage,
Yeah.
and here is the best place to make it. And I think
Hmm.
you can only hope that people will really do what you've been doing, P, which is diving more into it and trying to understand what the message really was. And if you are somebody who watched that halftime show and you're like that, you're right, it wasn't for me. Like I didn't really understand. I didn't understand the words. It is for you. It's still for
Yeah.
you. It just means there's a little extra work required on your part for it.
Do you think that someone being averse to this Super Bowl halftime show makes them, in any way, a little bit racist? Or I'll use biased.
You know, you know what it is, P. Okay, I'll start with my leading with empathy piece here first, which is I get that everyone's fucking exhausted. That the thought of me saying this requires a little bit of extra work on your part is probably so fucking annoying to hear. And I take it more on the level of responsibility, responsibility to people that I love, my relationships, my community, to make an effort to understand. And what a gift. I will tell you right now, no one in our lives is going to explain it in a way for us to understand, probably better than Kendrick just did in 13 fucking minutes.
It was tight. Yeah, it was concise. It was pithy. It was everything
Like
that it
he
needed to
really
be.
did you a solid. You just
Yeah.
have to go in and probably chat GPT the thing. I don't know. But it
Or have some
really,
conversations.
or have some conversations. I think that's what I'm hoping people understand is everyone's willing to talk about the show because it's a neutral third party to talk about. It's not you and I and our race relations.
Hmm.
It's let's break down this Super Bowl halftime show. What a safe, parametered, secured way to talk about racism is in the context of a Super Bowl halftime show. Like, I really mean it. That's like such a gift to people, to me. And I will just honestly say, if you know me, you know like this is shit I love to read about, break down, have studied, whatever. And I still had so much to learn after that halftime show.
Totally. Well, and to add the halftime show into the dynamics that were playing out, right? Trump is there, Taylor's there, someone's getting booed, both of them are getting booed. We don't know is the Eagles side booing, is the KC side booing, like which team's allegiance is to who. And then Kendrick comes out with A minor and it was loud.
So good. And he had an A on his neck.
The necklace was so good.
The fact that people knew that lyric around the stadium
And sang it.
at the right time, like, y'all know what's up.
Yeah, like if the dude next to me had booed Taylor Swift, would I be emboldened to be like A minor really loud next to him? You know? Like those are the thoughts I'm having. Like what was that audience and what does it say about the greater audience? And, the people who are dismissing this halftime show are showing, I think, a lot of bias not only in their like musical preferences but in their willingness to engage with the dialogue and like
Yeah.
yeah, that's just I guess characteristic of who those people tend to be. But
So I
yeah,
won't name names, but there is someone in my circle who I think was one of those like, like, don't show Taylor on the TV, blah blah blah, but then was all hyped for Kendrick. And at the end of the halftime show, I was like, hey, just so you know that Kendrick and Taylor actually collabed on a song, right?
yeah, they work with the same producer.
And it was just like, like you can't like one and boo the other. There's so much hypocrisy in that.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, I will say, and we talked about this way early on in our podcast, Season P, about whether you're a fan of Taylor Swift's music or not, there has to be some recognition for what she's done for the NFL as a business and as an organization, particularly
Hmm.
bringing in younger female audience and driving up those revenue numbers. So to hear people boo her, I think about like, did dads boo in front of their daughters? Did dudes
Right.
boo in front of their
Their
girlfriends?
girlfriends, yeah.
Like how embarrassing for them.
Well, I mean, I know women, Eagles fans, who are kind of like, what is this woman doing in football? Right? Like, why is this Taylor Swift thing like getting so blown out of proportion? Like when it first started last season. And it's like, why do you have an issue with it? It's literally just the camera goes to her like every so often. Like,
Right.
why is that an issue?
And now I think we're gonna get some more like cool women-sized merch for the NFL
Yeah.
finally. Like all these there's like a trickle down effect for this. P, if we put our therapist hat on, like why do other women get upset about it? There's probably a million.
Jealousy. Yeah.
Exactly. There's
Hmm.
so many reasons why. She's a powerful woman who's dating a powerful man and
Yeah. Rich, beautiful,
yep,
perfect.
all
Yeah.
the things. So let's find a way to take him down. But it really actually broke my heart again to think about again young girls like are they seeing people boo? Are they watching the Super Bowl because Taylor got them into it and now they hear people booing her? You telling me we're trying to get more females into this sport and that's how what they're gonna see?
Right. Right. There goes your DEI inclusivity. Like, we know what you feel about that. Yeah.
We're getting rid of DEI. You didn't know that?
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's dying in every corner of our what we're doing.
Fuck.
Um, well, one thing I will say that Kendrick gave me, even though the result was not what I wanted to see in the game, what's been really cool is that that same day that the Super Bowl happened, we found out that Kike Hernandez has been re-signed to the Dodgers. And so everybody's comments in LA have been like, who won the Super Bowl? LA won the Super Bowl. Between Kendrick, Serena, Kike. So
Oh
that's what
man.
I'm taking away from the day.
Oh my God, that is so well, fuck. The game was boring enough, but like great. if that's
Yeah.
the meaning we've got from that day. But truly, Pete, was there ever any real question if Kike would resign? Like real talk?
I was nervous. I was
Oh,
nervous because it seemed like it was in kind of the Dodgers' court, and I didn't, after what the Giants did with Saquon and then like the pain we had to feel about that this season, I was like, I can't, I will not be able to handle that if that happens. But I'm glad that they made the right decision and that everything is right with the world in that small, small slice of the
and
world.
everything is right in the world for Saquon too.
For Saquon, Saquon got his ring. It was
Got
with
his
the
ring.
incorrect team, but he got it. I will also say, okay, so something that has been happening for the last several years is that everybody keeps telling us and Dan that he looks exactly like Nick Sirianni, the Eagles coach. And I don't find that to be a compliment because, first of all, he's the coach of the Eagles and Dan is a Giants fan. So it's kind of like a fuck you. I also find him to look like old, tired, and sad a little bit, that man. And he certainly was treated as such by Eagles fans a lot.
Yes.
So, like, there have been people who texted Dan that day being like, congrats, coach. And it's just like, first of all, the thing that, not even first of all, mainly the thing that offends me the most about that is that you're comparing him to someone who's deeply less attractive than him, and that's fucked up. Even my cousin's kids, they're all like teenagers, they were looking at the TV and they kept looking back at him, but they at least were like, he looks like an older brother. And I was like, you know what, Alphas and Gen Z, respect. You
Yeah.
know what's up.
That's a safe
Yeah.
distance.
Yeah, because I'll get hip with that. But
Oh
if
my
I hear
God.
anybody else say that my husband looks like Nick Sirianni, even if Dan was the coach of the Eagles, he would still want them to lose. He would be like sabotaging them in some way because that giant shit runs deep.
Oh my God. Okay, that like never really even crossed my mind. Truly, truly, the
That's
look-alike
good to hear.
situation. That is, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that that comparison is being made.
Yeah,
It is not one
I've
that
had
I
it.
would make.
This is sort of related to the Super Bowl, which is
Okay.
just Autumn Lockwood.
Oh my God. Yes, that's the highlight of the fucking
That's
Super Bowl.
that's the highlight. Yeah.
Okay, so P, tell me, how did she make history?
She became the first black female coach to win a Super Bowl. She's the associate performance coach. I read up on this. There are currently 15 women coaches in the NFL. The Ravens have a fifth of them on their team.
Whoa.
So go Ravens. And the first woman coach in the NFL was on the Cardinals. The Bills were the first team to hire one full time. So yay, Bills. And
Yes.
the 49ers female coach was the first one to go to a Super Bowl. So you now also have, or in the new Madden NFL game, you're going to have the option to choose a female coaching staff member.
So dope. So dope, dude. Actually, in general, let me just say, I think performance coaches are so badass
Yeah.
to be able to customize an athlete's mental and physical health in a way that gets them excelling. I saw some video clips of how Autumn works with athletes, and they're just showing her, on the field with a bunch of players. Everything about it was so badass, all of it. And you just see the players like really listening intently and practicing what she's saying. And if I would kept looking for her on the sidelines whenever they
Uh-huh.
were showing, because I was like, I'm not looking for these players. Like
No.
a sad Mahomes and a sad Travis Kelce are only entertaining for like 3 seconds.
I wanted to see sad Eagles fans. That's all I wanted.
I know, P. Actually, speaking about Eagles fans, I will say,
They
as
have
much
already destroyed their city.
well, this is the thing that continues to annoy me about North American sports, especially, which is, yeah, when your team wins, what do they do in Philly? They set fires, they're climbing on police vehicles, they're tearing down traffic lights, they're vandalizing property. I feel like people don't realize they're the ones who end up paying for that as a
Taxpayer
taxpayer. Like,
dollars.
do you know that you're just going to end up doing this?
But if
I
I
get
know Eagles fans, they would all say it's worth it.
I mean, I get it. This is not unique to Philly, so I'm not necessarily only dogging on Phillies fans. It's various cities. It's always about major sports victories, but for some reason else around the world, it's only when there's a big loss. There's sort of this weird cultural difference.
Oh yeah, because they're mad. Because that makes
Yes, they're
sense.
exact. We're mad. We want to destroy things. What's happening when we're happy? What I heightened emotions make us do wild shit for sure. I guess alcohol consumption, we know that like anonymity you get in a large crowd, you feel a little more motivated and amped up to do this shit. But I have to say, it really ruins my perspective about the fan base. And
Yeah.
I'm all about respect for fan bases when I choose my teams, when I cheer for my teams. That certainly is one of the factors. I know I was, trying to pull for the Eagles mostly because I didn't care to see the Chiefs win again. But damn, dude, the second I was hearing everyone boo,
Hmm.
as Eagles fans, and then hearing what happened post game, I was like, "Ugh, yeah, this was just a very brief moment in time where I wanted to cheer for a Philly team, and it's not
It
at all making
backfired.
me want to do this again."
Yeah. Yeah, I think that there's like a weird fuck you culture in a lot of these like Northeast team fan bases, like we were talking about with the Yankees too, where it's like there's a reverence even in just like dialogue about like, yeah, we love it if you tell us to fuck off. Like that's what we want. And I'm like, I don't want that. Like this is a weird kind of like aggression that is really not something that I
Yeah.
find enjoyable to be around if I can help it. Like it's so weird that they bolster that kind of identity up, and that's exactly what fosters this kind of toxicity. So
Yeah, of course I'm like looking at these clips. I'm like, are there like other women in this crowd doing this? Like, talk about the epitome of feeling unsafe. The epitome of the reasons why you and I always talk about it. The reasons why we don't really want to be in a large group setting with some sports because you just don't feel safe enough to be you or to cheer or to say anything because fuck, who knows how another fan is going to react. This
yeah.
is that. This is exactly that. I can't imagine how do the Philadelphia Eagles grow a female fan base when this is the shit that happens after a Super Bowl?
Hmm.
Like you got to do better. That's just there's just no way you're going to grow your fan base. That's end of story. Like if you chase the dollars, if you're trying to build your dollars, get a fucking hold of your fans, dude.
Right, because if the only people who understand and like venerate that type of behavior are from Philly, then like that's you're gonna be kind of capped there.
That's it.
Yeah.
100%.
I have just to compare, the NFL has 15 women coaches. So does the NBA. The MLB, our favorite league right now, 43.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Dude, like in various coaching positions.
I would
Okay.
imagine it's the same type of tally they're taking. And then
I mean, they do have a lot more teams, though, don't they?
a lot
Or
more teams and probably a
yeah,
lot more people in general and a lot more money, I guess. But the NHL, Jessica Campbell is our first and only.
I know. I knew you were gonna say
Step it
this.
up,
I knew
guys.
you were gonna say this. It it is actually really embarrassing for the NHL when you look at those numbers comparatively. I will say the NHL in general hasn't done so well for I'm gonna say it
DEI.
DEI
Yes.
DEI initiatives. I feel like people just like lose the idea that it actually makes you more money. But anyway,
Yeah.
it just the reaction that Jessica Campbell continues to get, just the fanfare. There are girls in the audience in the crowd who are like, "I'm here for Jessica Campbell. Like that's why I'm here." Like, come on, pick up on that. NHL teams,
Hmm.
you're already behind. Like you've got to catch up and then some. I'm not sure what the MLB is exactly doing to get their numbers so high, but that is
Wait,
let's get on
speaking
it,
of the
P.
NHL, did you watch this game? Canada versus Sweden.
God, I was scared there for a second. I was like, what are we doing,
How
dude?
did they let up those
How
goals?
are we giving up this lead? Oh my goodness. Thankfully, Canada beat Sweden in overtime.
Yes. Also, yes. So last time we talked about this, like War of the Worlds or whatever it's called, we didn't know the lineups of the teams, and yeah, Canada team is
We
stacked.
are stacked, bro, which is again why did we have to give up those three goals?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Well,
Yeah.
some of those guys are from the Oilers, so that's why.
Fuck. It hurts. But you know what? Honestly, P, now that we know these rosters, aren't these teams just so unbelievably stacked? I'm not even kidding. Like,
Yeah, it's exciting.
best of the best, dude, what we're
Yeah.
seeing here. And you could see it watching the game. You're like, it's clear every one of these players is incredible at their craft. Unbelievable. The pace of the game, just everything.
Yeah, it's cool. And like I knew like Zibanejad and Nylander for Sweden, and that's why I was thinking Sweden would have an edge. But then I remembered that like they're touting Mika Zibanejad as their best player right now, and he's like really on the strugs with the Rangers, so it's just not the right time to be leaning on him, I think.
You know, it's early on, but already people are like, this is so much better than the All-Star game. Like, this was such a good
Yeah, it's
call
so cool. Yeah, it's like the
by the
Olympics.
NHL. It really is. No, honestly, I think it's got great viewership. People are really invested. I mean, I the NHL All-Star game was so boring, and I can't remember last time I watched one anyway. So this is honestly like I can't remember last. Definitely didn't watch it like I did the Canada Sweden game, where there's some real competition. So
Hmm.
great move so far, I think, on the NHL side.
So wait, the US plays Finland, and then the winners of those two games play each other? Is that how it goes?
I think so. I forget how many games specifically they're going to be playing. And of course, they don't want to play too many games because you don't want to have your players be injured. But I think there's a round robin, then a one game final. So it might be one extra step to get to the final game. But yeah, dude, I think it's incredible what it's going to be. And what's interesting is this weekend is the NBA All-Star weekend,
Right.
and they are doing a similar thing. So
Mm-hmm.
I think you mentioned this too. You like watching the NHL like skills
Skills
competition.
competition. Yeah.
I like the same thing for the NBA. I love watching the skills competition, and I never watched the Sunday game because it feels like an exhibition game, quite frankly. It feels like people
Mm-hmm.
are just
Yeah.
kind of phoning it in. So this year, the four-team mini tournament, and they're capping it to first to 40 points.
Oh, that's cool. So it's not gonna
Yeah.
like go on forever.
Exactly, which then means there's sort of this like urgency to score, so
Yeah.
the pace is hopefully a lot more
That's
quick.
smart. Yeah. So people aren't gonna be just like hanging out waiting in the wings. They're gonna be like, fuck, we gotta go.
We got to get these points on. And the other piece is to solve for, players like I just mentioned the NHL. They're scared about getting injured. They don't want to overplay, so it kind of felt like an exhibition game. So now they're waving some dollar bills in front of them.
Okay.
And now they're saying if you win, you get $125,000.
Bonus. That's cool.
I
Yeah,
mean,
sweetening the deal.
I
Yeah,
know.
do it.
That's so sad though what you have to do.
Are they doing that for the NHL one?
That's a really good question. I haven't heard anything published about compensation for these players. I'm sure they're getting some kind of comp, but I will say last season when I watched the NBA All-Star weekend, the only highlight was, I'm not sure if you heard about this, it was Ionescu and Steph Curry. They were Sabrina. They did like a three-point shootout.
Oh, fun.
She's the best three-point shooter at WNBA. He's the best in the NBA. Let's have them face off. And it was dope. It was so exciting. She got so close. He eventually won.
Wow.
And everyone kept saying, like, this is it. This is how we refresh the
Yep.
NBA All-Star weekend. Now, here's something that just happened. This is hot off the press, P, which is they wanted to do it again this weekend, being hosted in San Francisco. And they thought they even thought about the idea of doing two on two. So rumors that Steph would bring back Klay Thompson, his Splash brother, and that Sabrina would bring in Caitlin Clark
Oh, shit.
to make it like a two on two to keep sweetening the deal. But Caitlin Clark, this is the rumor, declined to participate. And a statement she made was she wants her first 3-point contest to be in the WNBA All-Star game this summer.
That makes sense. Wow. Good for
and
her.
and not in the NBA All-Star. So they've actually scrapped the whole thing and it's not going to happen this weekend. So it's not even going to be Sabrina and Steph. Curious your thoughts about that of Caitlin being like, no, not going to do it for the NBA, going to save it for the WNBA, and now the NBA scrapped the whole thing.
I think that's super fair of her. That sounds like it would have been fun to watch. But I think the NBA knew that, right? She is going to be a big part of what draws viewers to that. And so, like, why even bother if it's not the biggest star, right? Like, if Steph Curry is like one of the biggest stars, you need to reflect that in the contenders.
I mean, yes, I really just see it as a sign of the NBA being like, please, WNBA, can you save us? Can you
Can you
save us?
come? Yeah.
Can you save us from this really boring party we're going to be throwing this weekend and show up to it, please? Because you're like the hot new thing, or what, not even new, but the
Yeah.
hot thing everyone wants to be around. And I love that Caitlin Clark was like, she's clearly owning she brings viewership, she brings engagement.
Right.
So let me just hold off. Let me not do that for the NBA. I just have so much respect for that decision.
Yeah. Because, like, why would you help them out when they have never helped out the WNBA like that?
Exactly. Exactly. I'd be like, now you want to fucking knock on my door and give me an invite
Right.
to this?
Right.
And I'm sure, P, that they threw money her way,
Hmm.
had to have been. But that's a big loss for the NBA All-Star Weekend. And great if the new Sunday format works well. Love it. But otherwise, me as a fan, I'm actually just going to be passing on the NBA All-Star Weekend. I love that it's in San Francisco. SF will have its time to shine and host and do all the events and whatever, but there is truly nothing that I'm excited about. I want to hear about how the new format goes. I don't feel the particular need to watch it though.
Even if like they're doing what the NH why does it feel more appealing to watch what the NHL is doing? Is it just because you like the NHL more?
Some Canadian P
Yeah.
and
Wait, B, quick cue about Canada.
tell me.
For some reason, my calendar app on my phone has just like input all of the Canadian holidays. I don't know if this is like a sign that we're getting rolled into your country, please.
Mm.
But all of a sudden, I'm like, what is Nova Scotia Heritage Day? What is
Oh my
Islander Day? What
God.
is Louis Riel Day? What is Family Day?
That's this
That's
weekend.
all on Monday. All of that is today, the day this episode drops. Why are there 8 holidays on February 17th in Canada?
Wait, what in the fuck? This
Isn't
is
that wild? I also know that the 21st is Yukon Heritage
Yeah,
Day.
you do. Oh my God. Okay, so
So get it, Samsung. Your calendar app is mad Canadian.
I love this so much because Google Calendar has done the opposite, which is
Correct. Gulf of America or
Gulf of
whatever.
America. And now people are noticing that like Black History Month just got deleted
Yeah,
as an
I saw that.
automatic
Yeah.
one. So, you know what? If we could just gift to our fam in Oregon, Washington, and California to start to acculturate y'all into the lingo and wrap you into that Cascadia dream, um, then this might be one of the ways that we are infiltrating. That's fucking wild.
I just feel like when I saw these, I was like, oh, I feel so much more connected to V than I ever have. Like I'm gonna know when you celebrate shit.
Yeah, it is family day here this weekend. That is so funny to hear you say Louis Riel. Like all this is just like making my heart just like grow like the Grinch 3 times bigger. It really P, there's a story I've been wanting to get your opinion on,
Tell me.
and it has to do with,
I think I know what you're gonna say. Should I say it first?
you say it first.
Tiger.
Actually, no, there are two stories that I want to get your
Okay, okay,
take
you do
on.
yours first then.
Tiger's always going to be a story for me. Okay, Aaron Rodgers
Oh, yes.
officially, right, parting ways with the New York Jets.
He's out.
He's out. Now,
He's a free agent.
okay, so here's my question to you. For people who aren't familiar with Aaron Rodgers, he is
A douche.
a wackadoodle with conspiracy theories and truly an absolute asshole. Likely caused people to get sick during COVID-19 pandemic
Hmm.
times. Like, just, I know that our theory was we wanted him to stay playing to keep him busy so that he's not executing on these conspiracy theories. But he's 41 now, P.
And he
I'm
sucked
curious.
last season.
Sucked the entire time. He was with the Jets, really, with his
Yeah,
injury. And then, so I'm curious, what would you want him to do? Do you want him to retire or do you want him to do one more year?
I guess just do it. I just don't want him to end up on a team that I like. And I like a lot of the other teams, so I don't want it to be like if he wants to go to the Jacksonville Jaguars, then you do you, bro.
I heard the Las Vegas Raiders as one of the teams being
Huh,
rumored.
that might be interesting. I don't care. I just want to hear less from him, even if I have to hear more about him in the football landscape.
Okay, I'm with you 100%. I do think we need to keep him busy in some way.
Hmm. He does seem like the kind of like Tom Brady, like he's gonna go through such existential stuff, but his existential stuff isn't gonna look like Botox and fucking chicks. It's gonna look like something nuts, and we don't even know what it is,
We
and that
don't
scares me.
know. Has Rogers ever been caught with the MAGA hat on, like Tom Brady?
No, I feel like he's maybe more RFK aligned. I also want to
Yes.
know what happened with the whole Shailene Woodley engagement.
But if he's retired, he'll like start to spill some beans, maybe.
I don't know about that.
Oh.
They're all gonna come through his like Aaron Rodgers filter. It's gonna be useless.
Ugh, I just want him to like be on ayahuasca.
Yeah, yeah.
Tell us
We
what
just keep him
happened.
in Peru for a while.
Okay, I'm with you. I was just curious from your if you were passionate either way of whether he's played for one more year or just like got the fuck out of the sport and retired.
I don't mind seeing him humiliate himself continuously on the field.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't wish injuries necessarily on
No,
people,
right. For the record.
but if it happened to him in his last year, I wouldn't be sad.
I would want to ask him, oh, which which vaccine caused your injury?
Oh my God, we're such assholes. I love this so much. Okay, let's talk about Tiger.
Okay, so apparently, before arriving at the Super Bowl, President Trump was being very active elsewhere
Yeah.
because he was playing around golf with Tiger and Charlie Woods. Now, this isn't just because they're bros or whatever. This is all to do with how Rory and Tiger have been trying to now work with and leverage the fact that we have this Trump administration in office to move the Live PGA deal forward. The reason why it was not moving forward is probably because of our girl Lena Khan or something, because it would have been a monopoly merger situation. And now we have a very friendly to M&A administration. So now they are not at risk of antitrust lawsuits, but they have to cozy up to Trump.
Yes, P, what is your question?
What are your feelings right now?
Okay. In Trump's first term, he gave Tiger, was it like Medal
The
of
Medal of Freedom or
Freedom?
something? Yeah.
Whatever those medals are. And I get it. Trump actually has had quite a significant presence in the golf world for quite a long time with his golf clubs and courses.
Well, let me tell you about something else he did.
Oh,
So,
shit.
in the 80s, he bought the US Football League, New York Generals.
Okay.
Then it was a similar thing where he was trying to do a merger because he basically tried to move the schedule for the USFL to the fall, but the NFL is like, we don't want that because it competes with us. So then he's like, well, why don't we merge together? And then that got killed because antitrust. And so there is a track record and a history for him in this arena, in this space. And now he has the biggest stars in golf gunning for it.
Okay. Here's what I'm going to say, P.
Tell me.
I cannot hold with respect anyone who cozies themselves up to DJT. I can't. Even if it was somebody that I've loved in my personal life for so long, there's got to be another way. I just can't help but feel like that just feels like the easy, sleazy way to do something. And it's not the first time that Tiger has played around with this dude. It grosses me out to see him bringing his kiddo
I
into the
know.
fold.
Why? Leave Charlie out of
Leave
this.
Charlie out of it. He's
Let
like,
him be pure.
yes, let him be a blank slate. Stop like tainting him. I will say that I don't love Tiger Woods for it. It does make me view him negatively. It reminds me that some people really are just in it for power and money and self-serving
Like success at all
reasons.
costs. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. And hey, listen, I think people get really successfully financially because they think that way.
totally.
Chicken or egg, I don't know. Does being in that world long enough make you start to think that way? That's probably true too.
And the fact that he just pulled out of the Genesis Invitational that's happening this weekend, the fact that he can't really play anymore, I wonder if it's kind of like your Aaron Rodgers question, kind of like, well, now I'm going to push harder at these other initiatives.
Right. Like is he now the business guy in golf and no longer the athlete, the player?
Yeah.
I think you're right, Pete. I think that's where he's going to find his space. Does it make me not want to cheer him on as a player? 100%. Oh,
Ouch.
does it make me want to see him cry? Probably. You know, I loved seeing Mahomes cry on the sidelines over the weekend.
He
Like,
didn't look good.
it's just, he was in rough shape. Kelsey with that bad haircut, like all
Yeah,
of
what
it.
the fuck?
But I want to be clear here. We talked about this with music too, you know, like can you separate the artist from blah 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 blah. I can't. I have a hard time doing it. It's not for me.
Yeah.
There are enough other golfers up and coming and who actually play for me to be cheering on that I don't need to be tripping out on fandom for Tiger Woods. So, you
Yeah.
know, I'm not throwing dollars his way. I'm not I actually don't even think I don't even know if I follow him on Instagram, but all that to say like it grosses me out and I don't love it and yeah, it completely impacts my fan relationship to someone.
Yeah. It's sad when people who you love and respect do things like that. It's, you were like ride or die for him.
Do you think he's doing it like after his mom died because his mom would have told him he can't do that shit?
Ooh, I wonder what she would think about it. It did strike me as odd how close after his mom's death he was playing around with DJT. I'm sure that was pre-planned long before, but it was kind of like, you have the perfect excuse to back out of this, you know?
Yeah. Like would grandma have been like, you can go, but don't take Charlie. That's my grandson.
Yeah,
You
maybe she would have
know?
provided a little bit of a boundary. I don't know. It was, I
Tita.
was When we were going over the halftime shows of Yore, I was remembering MIA was in Madonna's. And MIA is an artist who I fucking loved and was like so grateful for. And then she ended up being a loony. And in that halftime show, she like flipped off the camera. And all that made me feel was you're just trying to be inflammatory when the real person who was victim of censorship was Janet. And like,
Mm,
I don't want you to come up here and challenge the stage that, right? Like in this weird,
yeah.
empty way that kind
Yeah.
of fucked her career like that. It was
Totally.
so disingenuous to me, that gesture in that one. And like such a non-issue, like no one talked about it. You didn't cause a stir. Like nobody gave a fuck, MIA.
Such a waste. And I don't like her whatsoever anymore. So
Yeah, it sucks.
it really sucks. But P, I want to talk about women
Okay.
and how they add to a sport where maybe our values do align. And that is with the new Major League Soccer expansion to San Diego FC.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my husband's hometown. We're going to probably be fans.
Yep.
They're going to kick off their first game later this month. And who has joined the ownership group but Issa Rae?
Yep.
I did not have that on my 2025 bingo card, P.
Love that for her and for us and for them.
Okay, so here's what I want to offer. I was going to ask, like, why do you think she why do you think she got involved? Like I don't know much about her actually in English. She might be like a big soccer fan. So I did a little bit of like very, very quick digging to find out who were the other investors. And the primary owners are, yes, there's like this one billionaire and the Sikwan tribe, which is the first Native American tribe to have ownership stake in a professional soccer team
Yes, and Siquan tribe is native to that San Diego area, right?
area.
Like East County.
Yes.
Oh
Yes.
my God.
So now what that means is also the San Diego soccer team has become the first professional sports organization to establish a dedicated professional training facility on a tribal reservation.
Shut up.
And I, looked at statements and they were just like, SDFC is going to be really focused on community initiatives. Here's what we're going to be doing. And it made me wonder, did all of that align with Issa's values? And so she felt totally okay aligning herself with these other owners for the soccer club.
Yeah, and I would also wonder, I don't know if she was involved in Angel City here, but I do know a lot of local celebrity women are involved in it, and I wonder if maybe Issa saw an opportunity to really like make her own name for this with a new team that is still Southern California, that she could really kind of be involved from the ground up. Like that's a really smart move, I think.
I just like this crisscross now, we talked about it even last week. To get women involved in sports, it's not just about athletes, it's at executive levels, it's at investment levels,
Mm-hmm.
which I don't think about as much, but here is another person coming by to, who's just like totally blew me away that this was an interest. But I think to have her as an owner, I think I align with her values. Everything she's done is dope and
Yeah.
things I've heard her say. I think I'm gonna end up being like a San Diego FC fan, dude.
Yeah, that's gonna be an easy sell, I think.
My husband's gonna love me so much for that. I can't wait.
Wait, I have a soccer women related thing for you, and it's a sports entertainment crossover. So I'm seeing reports that Ted Lasso, America's favorite fucking show, is coming back for a season 4, but that season 4 is going to be with the AFC Richmond women's team.
Ooh, wait. Oh my God, so many questions. So the show's not done? Like, or is it
I
different
guess the show is not
cast?
done. I don't know if this has been an official announcement. I'm seeing it around.
Okay, okay.
But I kind of love that for their pivot because it sounds like I didn't watch the last season, but it sounds like they sort of killed their storyline. And so, what an amazing way to revive it and also bring in women's soccer.
Oh my God, that's so I could actually see how they might do this as a spin-off with like maybe Rebecca and
Hmm.
Keely or like some of those characters being involved. I can't imagine that they'll do Ted Lasso again, like
Yeah, I don't know if he will be still I mean,
the main
it's
character.
Ted Lasso season 4 is what I saw. So,
You didn't watch last season, so you didn't really jump fully on that whole
no, I wasn't a huge fan
bandwagon.
of that show. I'm glad I watched the second season because that's where all of like the psychology therapy stuff lived.
Yeah,
I heard mixed things about season 3.
I loved it. I love that
Oh, good.
entire series. Yeah.
Well, hopefully there's more for you and it's going to be women's soccer, which you're going to love even
Oh
more.
my God. And the thing that I think they do the best in that show is highlight the interpersonal dynamics of, the importance of a
Players.
coach, the importance
Hmm.
among players, and why not do it with the women's team? That's so
Yeah.
dope.
I would much rather watch that. All right, V. Well, what are you currently obsessed with?
Okay, shit. This is gonna probably spark some controversy.
With me or with the world?
Well, turns out with the world, actually, P.
Oh, shit.
It's a topic that people feel very passionate about, very opinionated about, and that is, where does the best pizza in the world come from?
V, what are you doing to me? Because
Exactly.
if we're gonna get into it, we have to get into it.
I just want you to know I really treasure this friendship and I don't want to rock anything.
We might
But,
align more than you think. I'm curious. Okay, tell me.
well, I mean, here's the thing. The reason I'm obsessed with it this week is because they, of course, came out with which place in the world makes the best Neapolitan pizza?
I know the answer to this, and it's not the one that most people are probably thinking.
Oh my God. Wait, P, who do you think does the best one?
Japan.
Oh, okay. I have heard Japan makes a good one. A lot of people say, like, yeah, yeah, it's got to be Naples because blah, 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 blah. P, this year, the True Neapolitan Pizza Association.
Oh my God. Okay.
How the fuck do I get on this association? Each year they name one pizzeria as the best in the world, and they do the assessment with a team of expert pizza makers. And their membership includes like 1,100 restaurants or restaurateurs.
Oh my God.
This is like a pretty formidable group of people, I guess, to make this decision. And the winner for this year was a restaurant in like a very small town in Poland.
No way.
Yes. What? So the reason I'm obsessed with this is because A, what the fuck? I didn't how do you even find the Polish town and its restaurant?
They
But these
submit themselves, I would imagine, right?
that's it. That's it. But these lists come out every year. The best pizza in the US, the best pizza in California, the best pizza in the world. It's such a hard decision to make sometimes. Like I can only imagine what goes into it. But as you know, because people are very passionate and opinionated, when this decision got released, everyone's like, what the fuck, bro? Like, what about my pizza in Connecticut or whatever the fuck that they're
Ugh.
complaining about? And people are very upset. But
But this is
also, yeah,
about
tell me.
one type of pizza. This is about Neapolitan style pizza. There are
Correct.
different regional styles of pizza all over the country that
Correct.
people get very whatever attached to. This is about Neapolitan style. So now I want to see what's up with this Polish pizzeria.
I know. I saw a photo of it. It looked great. It looked delicious. But I just love the idea of how methodical this process has to be
Yeah, right.
to name one particular type of one pizza to call it the best in the world. And what this hopefully does for a business, hopefully draws more tourists to this
Tourism to
Polish
Poland
town.
for pizza.
And I,
You know
I just
what?
love the idea how it's like obviously something that we wouldn't even assume or guess a town in
Yeah.
Poland. Like that shit is dope. And you could probably tell the chef is very committed to it. But anyway, I loved it. I love the decision. I loved reading about how they make this assessment by the expert pizza makers. It sounds like a fucking dream.
How do they make the assessment? Because it can't just be based on taste, right?
Correct. Yeah. So they really study their pizza making process and the tools and equipment they have in there. I'm sure there's a breakdown of dough to sauce to, like where do they source the ingredients? There's probably a value system there. And they're
Hmm.
and it was like it's the criteria sound like they're quite quite complex. Oh, I love this shit so much. Like I love when the smallest thing can get so goddamn detailed and I just appreciate the craft, really is what it is.
Yeah, I feel like Italy is like that, and France too, like with all of their products, like
Yeah.
that DOP designation, right, for balsamic vinegar or Parmesan cheese. They
Yes.
are so particular about the process. And that's so interesting. Yeah, from like the fermentation of the dough, I'm sure, and all of
Yeah, the
that.
proofing, and it's like generations, right? It's like
Hmm.
lifetimes. This is not just a hey, we pulled up this year and we decided to be the best pizza. It's like we've been perfecting for this long, and I love those stories. I fucking love that
Wow.
shit, honestly. So, where's the best pizza you've ever had? Where is that? Where is
There's a Japanese Neapolitan pizza place here in LA that Dan and I have both consensus is the best pizza we've ever had. But we're about to go to Japan, so
right?
we are excited to see how it compares. But the pizzeria here is specifically Japanese Neapolitan, so just like Japan to go learn the whole process and then perfect it and do it better than the rest of the world. But I'm just glad there's one here in LA that
Uh,
it's just Like the first slice we had, we were just like, yep, this is different in every way.
Wow.
Like we know this is good.
Well, I cannot wait to hear what you end up trying in Japan. Oh my God.
I will say, if I'm not at Pizzeria Say for Neapolitan style, my favorite type of pizza is Detroit style.
Oh yeah, I think you've mentioned this before. Detroit
It's
is your jam.
it's the best.
Okay, I believe it. R.I.P. That's me. Tell me, what are you obsessed with this week?
Okay, so Fox television reality TV shows have us by the balls. They just
Us or
completely,
you, P?
both of us, they own us. We are, if it involves Gordon Ramsay or some sort of intense competition, what do they call it? It's appointment viewing for us.
God, so much Gordon Ramsay lately.
A lot of Gordon Ramsay. I never get tired of it, even though it's all very formulaic. You know exactly how those shows are going to go down, but there's something about him. It's very comforting. But the show that we got obsessed with that premiered, I think, like right after the Super Bowl, is this show called Extracted. It's basically like, I don't know, 10 families are in like British Columbia, Canada, and they have to leave one member out in the wilderness. And like the other two members of the family are watching from like some control room to like, it's kind of like the Hunger Games where they can like send them survival supplies to like
Oh,
make it in the woods, but it's also how good of a survivalist can they be on their own. And then it's going to get intense with like intra survivalist competitions and then also competitions amongst the people in the control room. But the extraction part of it is if the person in the wilderness or the family decides this is too much and we need to take this person out, they press this button to extract them. And in the first
the
episode,
drama. The drama.
so much drama. And I was just like, I'm not fucking extracting you. Like, you figure it out. So
Fucking stay in there, goddamn.
there was this family. It was like this divorced couple that co-parents their child who's 18. So they left this 18-year-old in British Columbia, Canada. And he like throws this temper tantrum because they like packed his supply thing wrong. And he's like, because there's cameras everywhere. So he's like at the camera, like, bring me out. I want out. I'm not doing this anymore. He's just being such a punk. And his mom goes, I'm not extracting him.
Oh my God, is this like a boot camp? Feels like they're doing it for a life lesson here.
Some of them are kind of like doing
Oh,
it to prove something,
yeah.
but the prize is $250,000. So,
Dude, I love this shit. I don't
yeah.
know if you watched the series Alone.
No.
That's one where it's a like literally people are placed in different places. Often it's in British Columbia too. And whoever outlasts everyone else, they win. And they don't even know where the other people are. They don't know how long people are gonna last. Sometimes it's two
Hmm.
months. But it's like a mix of Alone slash Survivor because there's like competitions
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
slash like maybe Naked and Afraid. I don't even
Naked and
know.
Afraid, I was thinking
You
about
know,
a lot. I was also like, this is definitely like where the Yellow Jackets plane crashed when they started eating each other. So I would be careful.
the reason why I actually love that shit is, I mean, I'm just like your casual car camper. Like I'm nothing fancy, but I love seeing some the little techniques and skill
Yeah.
sets that people have.
Yeah.
Like I went camping a couple years ago, Pete. Did I have to show off that I could start a fire with a tampon? No. I didn't have to show it off, but I did because it was like one
With
of the
a
tricks. Yeah,
what?
with the cotton from it. And I had like
Because
one of
of
those
this.
flint
Oh, you had
starters.
a flint. Okay,
And
with
I
the
was like,
cotton.
check
Okay.
what I can do with the tampon. And I like opened up the cotton and just like,
V!
hey, we were fucking car camping. I had matches. I had a lighter. I had fucking, like, I did not need to do any of that shit, but it's just, you just love the fun. I love the fun tricks you can learn off this shit.
It's true. And people are struggling with the fire. And there's this one couple that's about to get married in a month. And I'm like, why are you doing this a month before your wedding?
Fucking
And
idiots.
they're doing stuff, he's saying stuff like, because he's in the control room and he's like, I just want to test. It's like a test for his fiance, which is so gross. And he says at one point, if she can't start a fire, we're not getting married. And I'm like, this
Oh
is going to
my.
end badly for them.
She's gonna see that footage, bro. Like,
Yeah,
she's gonna,
dude.
Is this a weekly thing? A weekly?
Yes, weekly. I
Okay.
think it's on Mondays. Yeah,
Oh shit, I think I'm gonna jump on this bandwagon, P.
you
This
should.
is
There's only been one so far, so get in there.
so up my alley. Oh my fucking God. I love the new part is like having someone in a control room. I've never seen that dynamic before.
It's definitely giving Hunger Games.
This is so good. Done. I'm gonna
Yeah.
have to. Extracted is like kind of not the best title I feel like for this show,
It's
but
so fucked up.
ugh, I don't know why I don't love the title for it, but
Yeah.
okay, I'm in it. I'm down to be obsessed with this with you.
Yes. Can't wait.